Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his trusty sidekick.
Hello!
We're going to be having a look today at one of our new buys. This is actually a Christmas present to me.
From
who?
me.
You? Did you pay for it?
No, I don't have money for it.
Right. It is a nice Christmas present, which I didn't know I was getting. I was actually planning on doing War of Independence this year.
You did guess these.
Yeah, I thought it was War of Independence.
No, you guessed
I was
it
dropping
once.
enough hints, you know. But anyway, yeah, British starter army for Zulu War from Warlord Games. There's also some figures in here from Empress Miniatures as well, which is cool. And yeah, it's...
So the team together to do this one?
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun thing to do. I've wanted to do Zulu War for ages, and I was going to do it in 6mm. And I thought about doing it in 15mm and then woke up. And then I thought doing it in 6mm and...
For some reason I recall doing Zulu before.
No, we didn't.
Not on camera.
No, I had some 15mm Zulus many moons ago. Back when we did our 6mm cartoon game.
Well, we used to play with Philip.
Yeah, we used to have, we did the Battle of Khartoum with Gordon and everything. And,
yeah.
In 6mm, but at the time you weren't into 6mm and you'd wind up complaining constantly.
Yeah. I still ain't in 6mm. I hate 6mm.
Well, you don't mind the Ottomans and Russians.
Well, no, of course I don't. Because you don't have to look at them carefully to know what they are.
Yeah, they are pretty descriptive.
Now we did Waterloo. And we had to yellow hats for this, red hats for that.
Yeah, that's pretty much Napoleonics. So this is the box. It is made out of cardboard, like most boxes these days.
Yeah, we have boxes made out of paper.
Yeah, it's catching on making boxes out of cardboard. I'm just playing silly buggers. So here we go. You need to watch the camera. Right, inside we get a booklet just telling you a little bit about the British line infantry and the rules for them. Then the British infantry who fought with some nice pictures.
Oh, nice pictures.
On the back, that's a Natal native police.
That's their version of police.
No, they were or Natal native contingent off the top of my head. Does it say? It doesn't say. They were Christian soldiers, Christian Zulus, and so they were allowed horses and stuff. And it's a thing. And that is telling you a bit about the Natal native contingent. That's it. So they're the native police. These are the native contingent, and they were normal Zulu warriors who were actually drilled and trained by the British Army.
And giving red bandanas.
Yes, they had red everywhere. So they will be spotted. Would look different. It didn't work out really, because even though they were drilled and trained as regular British soldiers, when it came to battle, they preferred to fight as Zulus. So they would stand in line like the British and fight in skirmish order and fire, and then they'd throw the rifles down, get a shield and spear and go in.
And they'd die and the British would survive. Yeah.
No, the British got massacred, so they both got massacred. They do get a bad press, the Natal native contingent. People are sort of negative towards them, thinking they're bad soldiers, but they weren't. They're actually quite good soldiers. But anyway, that's the booklet on it. Sorry, I have a cold. My wife actually is coming down.
Whoa, wait, what?
I have a cold.
I'm the only survivor.
Yeah, you're the only one who hasn't got it.
I am sitting with the cold infected person doing a video.
Yeah. So we have...
We'll carry downwards.
No, just expand it.
How do you do that?
You've got a twisted thing here. How long have we had the camera?
You never let me touch it.
Actually, I'll let you touch it anytime you want, but you're just not interested. Right, so we have all these strips of British infantry, of which there are a huge amount. Now, in the... I'll have to do the British strips first. So, I'll get all the British strips out, and the small amount of the Natal native contingent, and then the figures.
Lead.
Yeah, I'll go with the British. They're from Empress. I'll go with the British sprue first. The British sprue is quite nice. The figures are actually quite decently detailed. They fit together dead easy, although you are kind of stuck to 3 arm poses. So you're firing, loading, or firing, basically.
Or just standing.
Yeah, so you don't get an option to do anything else. I kind of like stuff that Grip and Beast do, and the other stuff from Warlord, where you get like the bolt action stuff from Warlord, which is great because you get multi-poses and you can put whatever arms on you want and you can mix them up, mix and match. Whereas with these, you're kind of stuck. But then again, Colonial Era, you're probably best with what you get, really. And the figures do it really good. So, yeah, they're nice figures. And you get a selection of hats, including you can't see it from here probably, you get a forage cap, and, well, the non-helmet cap, and you get a sun hat, which is great if you're doing, you can turn a few of the figures into boas.
Yeah, they couldn't see that. They saw a dot.
No. So you can make boas out of them. The boas were put that behind.
It's a little better. Yeah, there you go, yeah. Focus.
Yeah, that's it. So, nice figures. I like them. Then you get the Zulus. Biggest problem with the Zulus is a bit the same as the British. You don't get... Try to that again.
You need to throw down.
Further down?
No.
It doesn't go any further down.
There we go.
Right. The downside to this is you have the small and large shields. They're the only options you get for the figure. You don't get an option with a sort of spare hand or a spare loading arm or anything like that. You basically get only 2 pose options with each figure, and I like mix and matching. I like
as you say, Grip and Beast.
And Warlord, because the bolt action stuff is great for that sort of stuff, but this you're kind of stuck with a couple of poses, even though they are multi-armed and multi-bodied.
Well, yeah, you have bolt action, which is World War kind of thing, which is popular, really popular. But no offense, but Zulu War isn't as popular as that, so they don't spend as much time making customizations.
Yeah, I've seen more people play World War II, but when you look at the other figures that they've done, like the War of Independence stuff, you have way more options and stuff. With this, you don't really get it, but you know, it doesn't matter. It's not going to make any difference for the game. It's just when it comes. Cause I like doing little vignettes and stuff, and it just makes it slightly harder to do that sort of stuff.
And then we get short off.
Yeah, and most people don't do vignettes, so it doesn't matter. Most people aren't going to care. Then you get this, which is a Gatling, a machine gun, the first ever machine gun. Do you know where in the American Civil War a dude invented a machine gun? And he took it to the Confederate government and said, "I've invented a machine gun," and he showed it how it worked. He went, he twisted the handle and it goes round, yeah. And the Confederate committee said, this would use up too many bullets.
That's the purpose.
Yeah, figure that out.
Fires quicker, gets rid of the enemies faster.
As they began to lose and get invaded by the North, they did actually get 2 of these out of mothballs, and they fought at the Battle of Atlantic.
Like Last Samurai, the Americans. That's when the Americans, when they were getting thrashed, they used machine guns.
Well, it's just a point defence weapon.
Yeah.
That's what a machine gun's for. It's a point defence weapon. So you just put it in a position that you want to stop someone coming across, and you put your machine gun there. A bit different nowadays. Like World War II, it was also an offensive weapon. You could use it offensively because you could fire over the heads of the enemy to pin them.
Yeah, so your troops can advance while you're machine gunning, and the enemy got their heads down, so they're not checking.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Allowing your snipers to take out the enemy, or your sharpshooters. In the box, you also get 2 British officers, Pauline and Melville. Melville, decent officer, probably better off hunting tigers and stuff, but not a bad officer. Pauline, idiot. Like most of the generals in the Zulu War, most of the generals in the British colonial period, to be honest. One thing you really don't need when you run a massive empire is clever generals. Which is why the British government didn't like successful generals. They weren't popular. Look at Gordon. Gordon, brilliant.
Sent to kill. To be killed.
Yeah, I mean, he was sent to China, and he raised an army in China of peasants and defeated the Taiping. I mean, this was amazing what he did there.
You see, I was all for the Taiping, but then they started going after the women and children after that. After they started winning against the Queen, that's why I started to side against the Taiping.
Oh well, the Queen was much better. It is a discussion for another time, but it is an interesting thing. I would personally have sided with the Taiping, although they were nutters.
Taiping here as well.
They really were nutters. The leader thought he was the brother of Jesus.
It's Taiping who won the war, wasn't it?
No, Taiping lost.
Oh.
But it did change China forever. Because it was the beginning of the revolution that led to the overthrow of the Chinese government. Which is a good thing, because they were predominantly Muslim and it wasn't particularly nice. So the Taiping was the beginning of the revolution. Chinese historians put the beginning of the revolution in the Taiping Rebellion, whereas modern Western historians, American, British, whatever, say that the revolution began in 1911. Which isn't entirely true. Really, the revolution, the communist revolution in 1911 was a continuation of the Taiping Rebellion, that mindset, and it did bring. It did mean that a lot of people did get a lot more freedom than they had under the old imperial regime.
Let's not get off topic.
I just know a lot about this, and
yeah, that's good. We've already done videos on it anyway. Loads of videos.
Yeah, we've done a few videos. Yeah. Unfortunately, we sold all that stuff.
Yeah,
we need to get it back.
I used to love doing typing.
I know, we desperately need to do typing. Anyway, these are the figures you get in the box. As I said about the British general that you get, Pauline, he was an administrator. He wasn't a soldier general. He was there to count pieces of paper, make sure everyone had enough toothpicks, and make sure that the soldiers paid for their boot polish. He wasn't there to command a battle.
That was probably the other guy's job.
Well, Melville wasn't there most of the time, so it wasn't really his fault. When he got back to the camp, he was like, "What's going on?" And by then it was too late. We're hoping eventually to be able to do the whole Battle of Isandlwana, which would be cool.
Hashtag I'm playing British.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with you playing British. I will let you play British because the Zulus won, so I might actually get a chance of winning for a change.
Yeah, I want to play British.
Yeah.
Only because I love the red uniform.
Back to my point about the British Army. You don't want really clever, intelligent generals. The reason the British Empire lasted for, 300 years, successfully...
Because I had dumb generals.
Yeah, without any challenges, is the British Army didn't have any really clever generals. They had smart generals, who they would only send out to deal with a crisis. And then as soon as the crisis was over, they would bring them back, or sack them, or move them to a desk job. Like Gordon.
Oh, so they started winning.
Yeah, Gordon was unbelievably successful. They sent Gordon to Sudan because Sudan was a complete hellhole and they were trying to ban slavery and it wasn't working. Gordon got to Sudan, got off the boat, went immediately to the head of the people who ran the slave trade and executed their eldest son. Hung them in the street. Guess what? Slavery pretty much ended there and then. He knew what he was doing. He had a way of getting straight to the problem.
It was killed by Muhammad.
He wasn't called Muhammad.
No, he was killed by Muhammad. Gordon.
He wasn't killed by Muhammad. His name was... Oh, what was the Mahdi's name?
That's it, that was his name.
What was his name, Muhammad?
Yeah.
Oh, it might have been called Muhammad. No, I'm sure he had a different name.
Well, he wasn't killed by the actual leader, because the leader died like a month later of poisoning.
Died of TB or something like that. pretty unpleasant way to go. Although the Mahatma, I don't really blame the Mahatma for Gordon's death. It was overzealous idiots.
Yeah, he said,
"Don't kill Gordon, whatever you do. Take the city. Don't harm Gordon at all.
Don't hurt the British soldiers."
Yeah, so don't kill the British citizens that are there. There are about 4 British citizens there. Don't kill anyone. Don't attack the Austrian embassy. Just don't. And they went in and did everything they weren't supposed to do, and that brought the wrath of Western civilization down on them. And Saddam suffered horrifically for years. It still is today, really.
It's better today.
Yeah, Kitchener pretty much destroyed Saddam. He really was ruthless. Although, interestingly enough, they sent there used to be these idiot Christian priests who used to go out to try and convert people to Christianity, and Kitchener banned them from the Saddam because they were trying to convert Muslims, because Saddam was a Muslim country, is a Muslim country. And
so it didn't work.
No, they wanted to convert Muslims, and Kitchener said no, it's none of our business. And so he basically, if a priest arrived, he would just put them back on the boat and send them back to Britain. He just wouldn't allow them in because it was just causing so much trouble. You know what Muslims' opinions are on Christians, and Saddam isn't somewhere where you want to cause any more strife than the other.
Well, you know what every religion's view is of every other religion.
To an extent.
They believe they're correct and the others are all wrong.
Buddhists are currently committing genocide against Muslims. They're killing Muslims.
I thought Buddhists were peaceful.
Yeah, you have to go really far to really piss off a Buddhist. To get a Buddhist to the point where he says, "I will not step on my sand." Oh, let's kill them all.
I thought the whole purpose of Buddhism was peace.
Yeah, they're pretty much massacring them right now. It's endgame for them, unfortunately. It doesn't look like anyone's going to do anything to help.
That drastically changed.
Yeah, they're sort of going village to village, clearing people out, according to the UN anyway. I don't know. But yeah, it's the world. Anyway, here is the box set, and I love this box set. I actually really like it. I didn't expect so many figures in the box, or I didn't expect so many figures to look like this.
You didn't expect it in the first place.
No, I didn't expect it at all. So I'm going to be painting the figures pretty soon. You can look out for that, and I think it should be quite cool. So do you want to do the outro? So
if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and comment down below how awesome the British Army is.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. It's awesome.
Although it got massacred.
It wasn't that good. Then no British Army came. Proper British Army came and massacred them all.
It got massacred by a bunch of guys in skirts. I mean, come on.
But there was millions of them. Thousands of them, sorry.
What? Yeah. 2,000 of them.
Okay. So, come on.
Yeah. And everything from him.
And everything from me.
Right, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.